Hey guys, Stephanie Bryan, garden girl at Two Peas in a Bucket here with you today to share my first installment of the Capture series here at Two Peas. This kind of focuses on the everyday stories, the daily documentation, the daily events that we go through every day. This is the layout that I'm going to be sharing with you today, a little tutorial of how to put together an interactive layout. I've done layouts like this before that have flip-ups and pockets, and it's really fun. So let's get started. First, I'm going to walk you through some of the supplies that I want to be using for this layout. I'm using the Amy Tangerine +1 collection. I have the 6x6 paper pad. I love the colors. I love the bold colors, the black and the white, the yellows and the pinks, and then I love how some of the papers are very muted and a little bit softer, so it's a little bit of mix of everything. I like these smaller cards, thinking I might be able to trim them out and use them on the front of my layout or under a flip up. I love the black and the white, how the white pops on the black papers. So I'm going to be using some of those, maybe some of these little cards right here. I like to trim those out of the smaller packs. I've also pulled a couple papers out of my stash that coordinate well with the collection. You can see I'm kind of going with the black and the white theme here, and I do have that blue star paper from the print shop. Most of the black and the white ones are the B side, so I'm just going to show you the other sides. I'm probably not going to end up using these. I want the colors to be pretty much similar to the Amy Tangerine +1 collection. So I'm likely going to stick with the other sides, the B sides, except for that one. The top papers from the print shop collection. I think the bottom one is Dear Lizzie Polka Dot Party. I also have some of the Amy Tangerine +1 stickers. Just fun pops of colors. I like the words. These are really great accents on pages or project life, pretty much anything. So I thought those would be fun to grab. I also have these stickers from Echo Park by Lori Whitlock. I thought the colors mixed well, the yellows and the greens and the blues, and maybe some of that chalky black. So I pulled those. I also have some script transfers and word stickers. Thought I might use some of these. Not exactly sure how it's going to go, but I figured I would pull out anything that coordinated. I'd rather have everything right with me than have to go searching for it. Have a couple pack of the Amy Tangerine thickers. You can never have too many. I love that. That script font is really popular right now, and I really love that. I also have, I'm going to show you this little tray that I have that I always bring out and put together prior to putting together a layout if I have an idea of what I want to do. So here's all the things I want to use, or I'm thinking I might use. I have some of these wood veneer. They're the 2x2 wood veneer tiles from Two Peas in a Bucket. They're in the shop. They have some fun phrases and words and pictures, so I'm thinking those might be fun to use. I also have some of these gold star paper clips, which I can never get enough of. I'm going to keep those right by me and probably throw those on the layout. Also have some flair, some of the new ones from Two Peas in a Bucket, the 2014 and You Are My Favorite. That pink heart is an older one, but it's still in the shop. And a couple more. I kind of picked ones that coordinated with that black and the white colors, maybe with a pop of pink. I have some of these Studio Calico print shop transparent words. They're really fun. They kind of go along with that script, and I love how the black and the white coordinated with the Amy Tangerine papers. There's so many things that coordinate with that collection. So I'm going to pull those out, thinking I might use a couple of those on my page as well. Just going to put these away back in my little dish so they're right there beside me as I work on my layout. I have a couple rolls of washi tape that I may use on this project. I know that I definitely want to use it on the back of my layout, and I'll show you more of that in just a little bit. So I want to have that handy. I have some wood veneer over here, hearts and phrases. I think these are from the Studio Calico print shop collection as well. So I might use some of those on my project. And I have this, the Amy Tangerine +1 bits and pieces here. They go obviously so well with the 6x6 paper pad, and I love all the little phrases and the bold colors, and thinking they will work really well on my project. So I'm just going to keep some of these handy. I loved having this tray here with the little cups. Everything stays together. Everything's right at my reach. So I love having everything kind of divided, organized, and just visually appealing. It makes it so much easier to work on a project. So there's my little tray, and let's get started. For the base of my project, I'm going to be using this 12x12 piece of white cardstock that I cut with my Silhouette Cameo. As you can see, there are flaps all over the page, so it's going to be an interactive layout. I just drew a square in my Silhouette Cameo software, erased the top line, and then when it went to cut it out, it left 3 of the cut marks, which then gave me flaps all over my page. This will be available as a download with my layout. So if you want to create a similar layout, you can. You could also copy and paste the squares in your Silhouette Cameo software and have additional squares or additional flaps on the page if you wanted to. All right, here I have the pictures that I think I want to use on my layout. Most of these pictures are from a new series I'm doing on my blog, which is 12 on the 12th, which is documenting 12 moments on the 12th day of each month. I hope to do it all year long, and then either use the pictures to create a project life spread or layout, or maybe both, or do whatever with the photos. So I printed out my pictures and I scaled them down to all about 3 inches, a little smaller or a little larger. So the ones that are going to go underneath the flaps, I wanted to make a little bit larger so they filled in that whole space. When you lift up the flap, you would see mostly the picture. And so now I'm just going to lay out the photos. I'm not really sure how many I want on the front, and how many I want on the inside. So I'm just going to kind of play with them here and see what I think looks best. I have a couple that are a little smaller, and I'm just going to trim off the sides there. It's a little too much. I like a white border, but that was a little too big, and it wouldn't really fit in either the top of the pocket or underneath it. Okay, I'm just going to speed the video up just a little bit so you can kind of see my whole process without me having to cut anything out. But basically I'm just going to go through the Amy Tangerine +1 paper pad, pull out some papers that I think might go well with my photos and kind of what I have in mind. I like the blacks and the grays and the whites, and then I want to have that pop of yellow and a pop of pink. So those are kind of the papers that I have in mind. Also, I'm going to pull out some of the print shop, Studio Calico print shop papers. I want to use one as a background. And I love these. I know I said these a second ago. I love the smaller little cards that you can trim out from the 6x6 paper pad. On a regular 12x12, those would be 3x4 or 4x6 or something along that line. But these are so perfect for adding as little embellishments on a layout. So I'm just going to trim the paper roughly 3 inches by 3 inches, which is what my square is. So you're going to go through and trim your paper. I think I'm going to trim it a little bit smaller. I think the square is actually 3x3, so I want it to be almost like a mat on that flap. So pick your favorite papers, go through, trim out your favorite papers, a couple of each one. Stick them in a little pile right next to your photos, and then once you have everything, you'll be ready to start assembling your layout. So I'm going to use this paper on my layout, and I think I want to use it as my background. So right there I'm kind of changing my mind, and I'm going to cut a square from the middle of the paper. So you can see I'm just lining it up, or trying to, the best I can. I cannot find a paper trimmer that I really love. This one's okay. My other one broke, and this is like the 3rd or 4th one I've had since then. So anyway, rambling. So cut out a square. I cut out the square from the middle. So this lets me use the paper, the pattern paper, but I can also still map my layout directly onto that paper. I like that star paper from the print shop collection. Okay, speeding back up, I'm gonna cut out a couple more pieces of paper that I think I'm gonna use, trim up some of these little cards. I think I might use a couple of those on the front or maybe on the inside. I like the pops of the color, like that pink is really pretty, and that yellow. So trim up my paper. Once you have everything ready, just kind of, I'm gonna clean up my stash here. Cut maybe some larger ones in case I want to use it as a background underneath one of the flaps. Those are like, I don't know, 4x4-ish. I'm not really measuring, I'm just kind of cutting away. So once you have that done, go ahead and grab back out your background cardstock that you cut with the Silhouette Cameo, the one that has the flaps on it. So I'm going to pull all my papers out and kind of get myself organized a little bit and figure out how I want everything layered on my page. So I'm just kind of checking out my flaps. So the easiest way I found to add things underneath the flap is to use washi tape. So I usually just kind of pick where I want it to be, pull off a little bit of washi tape, and then I just stick it right at the very top, and then when I'm happy with it, I will go ahead and add another piece to the bottom so it's pretty secure and I don't have to worry about it slipping or falling off. So I'm just going to lay my pictures on, and I'm going to lay on some of those pieces of pattern paper underneath some of the flaps. Use my washi tape to kind of secure it into place. And the easiest way I've found to do this is to kind of stick everything on using washi tape first, flip it over, and then I'm just going to eyeball everything and see if everything's centered or lined up. Make sure that the pictures are not crooked and seems okay. So I'm just going to double check a couple of things. Okay, so a couple of these are a little crooked. So the best thing about washi tape is it is so easily removable. I'm just going to try to straighten these up a little bit. And I think that for right now, I'm pretty satisfied with how my photos are under there. Everything seems semi-straight. I have a white border around there that's driving me a little bit crazy, but that's okay. So my favorite part, which is embellishing, kind of like embellishing, but I like to think of small pieces of paper as embellishments, especially on a page that has a grid, which I love grids too. So I'm just basically go through my papers, pick out what I like best, and just start laying things down, see what looks good, you know, where I'm going to cover some of these up with my photos. So some I know are going to be blank and or left blank or maybe embellished with stickers, and then I know some of them are going to have my photo. When I have a page that has bold colors on it, I try to find a balance between colors. So if I have pink on one side, a hot pink on one side, I might try to balance it off with the gray or something a little bit softer and muted next to it. Kind of the same thing for pattern. So if I have a busy pattern on one side, I'll try to put a softer pattern next. So it just an overall balance of colors. I think it definitely helps with the visualizing your page, and somebody looking at your page, people typically are drawn to things that are balanced and even. So here I have some of those smaller pieces of paper that I cut from, or smaller tags that I cut from that 6x6 piece of paper from that paper pad. I'm just going to trim them up and start laying them onto my page and kind of getting a feel for how I want my page to come together. I love that little camera, which is also a stamp, by the way. How fun is that? I'm going to pull out some of these +1 bits, see if I can get some of them to work on those blank spots. I like the squares, but I feel like I want to add just a little bit more playfulness and just not so balanced, I can't think of a better word right now. So I love that. We didn't go anywhere, and this page has absolutely nothing to do with adventure, but I feel like our whole life with children is an adventure. So on January the 12th, when we went to the park, which is what this layout's kind of about. Our everyday seemed like an adventure. So to help balance out the yellow from the top tag, I'm going to add this yellow piece of paper, which is almost like a little tag that I cut from that same piece of paper. So I just trimmed it down, and that yellow kind of balances it a little bit. So I'm going to grab my photos, the ones that are a little bit smaller, and I'm going to start adding them to my page. And it really is just a personal preference. It's what you like. It's how you like things to look. What you have in mind. When I started this page, I definitely had an idea of how I wanted it to come together, which I think helps a lot when you're putting together a layout if you have an idea of how you want it to look. So I trimmed off some of the white border because I want the pop of the black to show through. And I'm going to do that to a couple of my other photos. It still has it'll have a very small little white border, but I like for that pattern paper to act almost as a mat. I'm just going to continue to move photos around. I'm not really sure how many I want to have on the front, or I think I'm good with the ones on the inside. So I'm probably just going to leave those as is, but I think I'm going to add these photos onto the front. So I'm going to start adhering them down. Just use 1 or 2 little strips of adhesive to get them into place. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. Get all these into place because you guys might have to listen to me all day long. You're never going to come back and listen to another video. Okay, so I'm going to take these off because I don't really like the way the flaps aren't really opening, how doesn't have a crease there, so it's not going to open. So I'm just going to grab my trimmer that I don't actually love, and my bone folder, and I'm going to just add a little score mark right at the top. Now this is why I don't love this trimmer. It's because I can't ever find where the line is. My other one had a guide on it, and this one doesn't have a guide. It had like a wire guide, which is what broke, but okay. So I'm just going to go through each of these, and really the easiest way to do it, I don't even know if you need an indentation there. You can just probably use a ruler and just add a little bit of a, see, that probably would have helped in the beginning. Oh, that one's way crooked, but it'll work. It'll do the job. Basically, I just want them to lift open a little bit better and actually flip up and stay up. So there we go. And just press it down. You could definitely do this before you start adding your pictures and your pattern paper. I probably would recommend it. Probably be a little bit easier and a little cleaner. But once you get the pictures and the pattern papers on there, I think it'll be fine. So I'm just going to grab all of the different pictures, pattern papers, and little embellishments and start laying them back on. And I think I am about ready to put all of these in place and then embellish from there. Just going to shuffle a couple things around and go ahead and get everything glued down. I think I'm pretty happy with how everything looks. I'm just using 1 or 2 little bits of adhesive, a little tape runner for the flaps. For the extra little pieces, the adventure, the love, the little happy place, pattern paper and cards, I think I'm going to add pop dots to these. I love pop dots. It gives a little bit of the dimension, and since the flaps already have a little dimension, since they are lifted up a little bit, I thought this would just add a nice little look to the overall page, especially from a diagonal. How many people look at a page at a diagonal? As far as having interactive layouts in my albums, it really doesn't bother me that they're interactive and then they're put in a page protector. Some people I know, I've heard people cutting little slits in their page protector, which I'm sure can work. I just leave it as it is and think that, you know, down the road, if one day somebody's looking through my books and, you know, has an interest in pulling it out, they can pull it out and it'll just be a nice surprise. And if not, part of my process is just a creative outlet for me. So I like to try new things and find new ways of doing things and just documenting our memories. And I think that just looking at it from the outside of a page protector, I think you can tell that it is a flap or there's something else to it. So it might pique somebody's interest enough to pull it out. I also like to include flaps like this in, or make a flip up card in my Project Life album, which this project you could totally make, you know, you could totally do this on a Project Life page. You could do a whole page of, you know, on the right side of a page, you could have flaps or flip up cards or something fun like that. So I'm on the back side now, like I had mentioned earlier, and I'm just going to add that extra piece of washi tape to hold that back side down. And you can see that in the bottom left-hand corner, I changed out a photo that was there. I wanted to add another photo. So I'm going to straighten this one up, try to get it as center as possible. And again, it really is just a personal preference. Some things, neatness-wise, bother me, and then some things you would think don't. So I'm going to add this little smaller photo in this pocket. So this is my son and daughter in the bathtub. My son is 3 and my daughter's 4. She'll be 5 in March. And I love that they take baths together. I love that they would stay in there for hours. And sometimes I'll even put them in there and then check my email or do something right in there with them that I have to do because they love it. They don't want to get out. I'll have to fill the water again with warm water because they're freezing. So anyway, I wanted to add this picture to the bottom left, and I'm going to add a little sticker from the +1 little sticker sheet and a couple other little things to that little square. Just going to need to move this up just a little bit so my photo will fit right there. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to add this little tag behind it. Try out this star clip. I think I like it on the outside a little bit. I love those gold star paper clips. I think I use them on every single project. So in this pocket up here, or this under this little flip up here, I'm going to add one of the Amy Tangerine stickers, and I'm just going to add a couple just little embellishments to finish the page off. Really fast, I just typed up my journaling, what I wanted to add in the middle. It says something about just a glimpse of our lives right now, and kind of what we did on that day, on the 12th of January. That little Sunday bit is perfect from the Amy Tangerine +1 collection. Go through my flare. I'm speeding the video up just a little bit because I want to keep it all in there. And figured it was probably better if it wasn't too terribly long. I know some of you like longer videos, but I don't know how instructional this is anymore. I'm just pretty much laying different little bits and pieces on the pictures and the little cards, figuring out what works best, what I like. I'm trying out one of those Studio Calico print shop transparent script words to see if it would fit there. It looked like it was a little big. So now I'm going to try one of the transfers, also from Studio Calico print shop collection. These are so easy to do if you've never tried any of these, and they are really addictive and really fun. I just always trim out the one that I want to use because if I'm trying to be lazy and not trim it out, and just push it down, I always end up getting the one above it or below it stuck on there as well. This one's white on white, so wouldn't have been that obvious. And you can't really see it very well from this video, but in person is obvious that it's there. But it's pretty muted, and I like that. I like that it's kind of muted. Those transfers are great. You just rub it on right with your popsicle stick that comes with the pack, and they come right off so easily. They are quite addictive. I think Wilna has a video of how she used rub-ons and transfers as her background, and then she watercolored over them. That was amazing. Okay, so I think most of those are done. I'm just going to add a couple last little bits and pieces. I'm going to add this wood veneer right here. Love you. So just a little decoration. The page itself is a little busy because there's so many photos and colors. So I didn't want to go overboard too much. For me, that's go with your own personal preference. So I think I'm probably about done. I'm going to add a little stamp. This is from that October afternoon little sentiment stamp. It has some pretty fonts on there. I like how they're all a little bit different. And there's my background paper. I'm going to trim off the strip at the bottom. And if you mat your cardstock onto a background, I really highly recommend trimming out the middle piece, especially if it's a paper that you love. You will really never know unless you flip it over to the back. And if you're putting them back to back in an album or framing them or something, you would really never have any idea, and then you have extra paper. And this one's pretty sturdy, so I don't have to worry about it. And there we go. I think I'm pretty happy with that layout. Here is a look at the finished layout. I love how you can see it's interactive and there's so much texture and dimension and color. That +1 collection really is gorgeous and beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me here today at Two Peas in a Bucket, my very first Garden Girl video. Let me know what you think of the layout in the comments, and if you have any questions, I'm here for you. Thanks, guys.